Hello and welcome to the November edition of Hempfield Happenings. I'm Kaylee Gallagher. This month we are featuring stories all about homecoming. First, we will take a look at some unconventional homecomings, like the return of the class of 1966 to their alma mater 50 years later. Next, we will put the focus on the kickoff of Hempfield's homecoming weekend. And finally, we will ask some students the question, what is school spirit? So stay tuned because this is Hempfield Happenings.
When you earn rewards points on your purchases at
the Hempfield School District. It's a place where students can come, grow, and learn. And this year is the class of 1966 50th year anniversary, and they came home for homecoming. Alumni from the class of 1966 gave their reasoning for why they came home this homecoming.
It's nice just to come home, I used to come to see the teachers when I come home and leave. I'd always come up and talk to some of the teachers that I had.
Just to reconnect with classmates, some of whom I haven't seen for 50 years, and for the festivities for the weekend. And some former students that I had after I graduated, because I was a teacher in the district for a lot of years, went on to become teachers in the Hempfield district as well. So that was really exciting and rewarding to see.
Along with why they came home, alumni talked about the changes in Hempfield in the last 50 years.
The size and the facilities, and making sure it has, and probably the curriculum has changed a great deal. And you try to memorize or remember what it was like exactly, and it's kind of hard now walking the building, trying to figure out where the gym was, or the cafeteria, or different music rooms, and think where they were compared to what it looks like now. So, but that's nice to come home.
Students also shared their knowledge of the changes.
I'm assuming it's definitely changed in multiple ways. I mean, I'm assuming that the tiles on the wall to the classes we take have changed dramatically based on the time throughout.
I think the music program has developed a lot, because I know in like 1995-ish they added the PAC, so now we have auditorium, which can help express more of our musical needs in the school.
But in the end, both generations will agree upon Hempfield's school spirit.
I think if you're in a certain activity, people at Hempfield really represent that activity. So say if you're in lacrosse, all those people really represent and take on that position, and they really show it off.
Some people are like, hey, school, it sucks. But then some people are like, hey, my friends are there, I can make this good, I can make this fun. So then they try and make the best out of it.
I would say we had pep rallies for all of the games and activities. We had, there were spirit days. Golly, that was so long ago.
For whatever the reason is why alumni come home for homecoming, it is surely a blessing and a gift that they get to be reunited with their hometown school. And now to Julia with another reason why people may come home. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Jack Harrison.
I'll tell them, but it's good to know your blood type, okay? Because you do not want to get the wrong.
Although to many, the word homecoming might mean a time of school spirit, yet to teacher Brian McDermott, the term takes on a whole different meaning.
I'm going to do this, okay? Here's your cut.
I've been lucky. I served in two branches of the military. I served for 12 and a half years in the United States Marine Corps. And while I was in the Marine Corps, I had the opportunity to serve in what they would call combat contingency operations in Panama. And then after getting out of the Marine Corps, I've been in the Pennsylvania National Guard now for 13 and a half years, and I've been to Kosovo and Iraq, both combat operations. And then when I got off active duty, I got into teaching at about age 30, and I've been teaching now for 22 years.
Mr. McDermott explains his personal meaning of homecoming.
From a military standpoint, for me, homecoming's coming home to family and your community. More so to your family, the ones that are close to you, your direct family. Very emotional time. You know, when you're with certain people for a certain amount of time and it's pretty tight, and then you come back to that relationship that you had, it's overwhelming.
Students and staff feel the effects of Mr. McDermott's absences as well.
Well, it's always nice to have him here because when he's gone for long term, we usually do have long-term subs, which they do fine, but it's not the same as having a full-time teacher here. So it's nice when he comes back where we like him at LMS, safe and helping students.
This is where I started to receive my education, and I continue to be here. I think it's a great community, and I've been very fortunate with the 2 tours that I had. I had a supportive administration, and it's just nice to come back. But yeah, this is my second family.
After being away for deployments, Mr. McDermott says Hempfield will always feel like home. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Julia Gibbons.
Next up, another uncommon homecoming story. Mrs. Barilla, a Hempfield teacher, returned to teaching after a battle with breast cancer.
What numbers were we given? So -2.
Homecoming is a time and place where students and alumni can come together to form school spirit and community. And recently, Mrs. Barilla came back from her diagnosis with breast cancer here at Ann Barshinger Institute, and now she's able to do the same.
I've been teaching at Hempfield since 2005. I taught 2 years in Florida before I moved here. I was diagnosed with breast cancer last really July. It's one of those things that it affects everybody differently. And it's kind of like getting like the death sentence. It sounds crazy, but you are being injected with something that's supposed to kill your cells, and you get really, really sick. And when I couldn't even lift my body up, I was like, wow, how am I gonna do this? But then you just do it, you suck it up and you do what you need to do. It was great to see all the kids. And when I came back, I still have seniors who come and see me. So it's a great feeling to see my kids. I would say, I definitely feel I'm glad to be back. And this is like my home away from home.
I've known Mrs. Barilla since she started teaching at Hempfield. When she was diagnosed, that made me just feel sick to my stomach. You can't imagine somebody that young being sick like that. It just totally throws you for a loop. It's wonderful to have Mrs. Barilla back. It's like the family's back together again. Probably the one thing I learned, which I kind of already had an inkling about but didn't realize the depth of it, was what a tough cookie Mrs. Barilla is. She went through an awful lot, and she really was amazing throughout the entire thing. I think one of the things that students and alumni should think about with homecoming is that Hempfield is their family while they are here. And even though they leave the school and it's a new group going through, it's still the Hempfield family. For instance, I'm a Hempfield student, and it's really important to me to still be a part of the Hempfield life, and you can always come back home to Hempfield.
When I think of homecoming, I think of everybody going to football games, getting good food, and enjoying each other's company and having a good time. So I like that Hempfield is trying to get more school spirit and get the kids excited about it. So it's nice to see that they're trying. I would say remember the alumni when they come back to homecoming. Remember what it was like when you were in high school and how nervous everybody is, yet how excited everybody is for games. But I think the number one thing is that no matter how big our school is, we can still have school spirit and still be a Hempfield family.
No matter what happens in life, it's always family and the feeling of acceptance that brings people together. And what better way of sharing that connection than at a place where you feel at home? For Hempfield Happenings, this is Keen Fulton.
Now we will race over to the next story featuring the Hempfield MiniTHON Dash Through the Decades 5K, which encourages alumni to come back to Hempfield and race in attire from their graduation year.
Awesome job, good job.
Hempfield MiniTHON, in collaboration with the Student Council, are wrapping up this homecoming week by hosting the Dash for the Decades 5K race, supporting the fight against pediatric cancer.
For child pediatric cancer and finding a cure and supporting those students and families that are involved. The big thing about the runs, the 5Ks, is a community event.
Besides the race, food, t-shirts, and face painting, along with water tattoos, were available for purchase.
We're face painting. We haven't really gotten any customers yet, but I did my own hand.
Participants of all ages and abilities showed up, each with their own goals and motives.
I'm here because I'm just going to run it, jog it, because I like running and I think it'll be fun.
I've had many people in my life who've experienced cancer, and of course one of the most challenging things is when you have a child going through such an experience, and it's something that touches the whole family. So anything I can do to help bring money to the cause or attention to the cause, I'm willing.
The race took off at 8:30 a.m. Many chose to run, while others opted for a more leisurely approach. It wasn't long before Cedar Crest grad Corbin Hurst neared the finish line in first place.
I didn't really get the best night of sleep last night and wasn't sure what to expect, but I gave it my best.
In total, the event raised $2,755 for MiniTHON. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Christian Groff.
While many might think of the football game as second tier compared to the homecoming dance, some of the alumni that returned for the weekend, which serves as the high point of the year for many students, may think otherwise.
Number 11, Mark Himmelsbach on the keeper.
Well, I'm here because it's our 50th reunion, and I haven't been to a game since I was in 8th grade.
Well, we live in Hempfield, so we're here for our reunion.
Well, I live here in Landisville, so I don't have to go very far, but it's fun just being with all our friends from years ago.
Well, because it's nice to reunite with all our friends and see what their lives have done, changed, and their children, grandchildren.
Well, since it's our 50th, we have events planned for the whole weekend. So we have something going on from Thursday night all the way up till Sunday afternoon. And everything's really fun, so everybody should come back.
Now over to Quentin with some pre-homecoming activities.
Here in the Buchanan Gymnasium, students of all grade levels are gathered here to show off their school spirit in a student and staff organized pep rally known as the Fall Fling.
Mrs. Candace Sacasa explains why students chose a pep rally to rev up some school spirit.
Well, the whole idea of doing pep rallies was kind of new. We had pep rallies at Hempfield, but kids weren't really looking forward to it. Teachers kind of dreaded it because it was just kind of like chaos outside. So when we formed the Student Affairs Committee, which our whole goal is just to make the school feel like more of a community, a place where students are proud to be a part of, excited to be there. It really just celebrates Hempfield. We initially trying to figure out what is it that our school needs. They came up with pep rallies. But it was just something that the students felt like we needed. We needed that school spirit. We needed that place where this big school could come together and celebrate who we are. And we really, really wanted to make it connect with homecoming week, because that's kind of like your pinnacle celebration in high school is that homecoming week for current students and alumni too.
As students exit the gymnasium, they head over to the Georgia List Law Firm Stadium to enjoy food, music, and fun at the Student Council's Grill Out Chill Out. I talked to Dr. Kate Huff about the event's success.
The Grill Out Chill Out went really well. It was something that we did a little differently this year. We decided to try and do it during a homecoming weekend that we were working on with other clubs and kind of have our, tailgate picnic outside of the home side of the stadium. So we were trying to get a lot of school spirit. We were trying to get people to come out and it went really well. I think we had a great turnout. We had a lot of people go to the football game. The whole purpose of it is just to kind of foster school spirit. It's not really a fundraiser for us, but that's not really the purpose of it. We're just trying to get people to come out, hang out with each other outside of the classroom, get to know each other a little bit. The teachers were grilling, the principals were there. This year was amazing because we had so many other clubs that were involved. There was the Spanish Club, the Chinese Club, Video Production Club was involved, Renaissance Club, the Student Affairs Committee, MiniTHON, and then Student Council. And it was fun that we got to do it homecoming weekend, and then that led into the Saturday 5K that we did with MiniTHON. It was a good night.
Now to Joel about another spirit-starting event that involves Hempfield's junior and senior girls.
Continuing Hempfield's Homecoming Week festivities, junior and senior girls had the annual but unique opportunity to participate in the Powder Puff football game. Junior girls coach Adam Hindy elaborated on how the event went down.
Powder Puff game was a lot of fun this year. You know, everybody got very into it again this year, and it created a really fun atmosphere for a football game. You know, and everybody had a great time, both preparing for it and actually going through the game.
Some of the girls explained the level of preparation it took to be ready.
We had about 10 practices, and everyone tried really hard for each one, and we picked our positions really early so we all knew what we were doing.
So we practiced 2 to 3 times a week every day or after school, the 2 or 3 times in the JV baseball field. We did drills and scrimmaging each other just to prepare.
But the teams didn't play Powder Puff just to practice. They played to win the big game.
We really wanted to win because as juniors we wanted to show the seniors up.
Well, for us, we lost really bad last year, so it's redemption and for pride too. The seniors don't just want to lose to the juniors.
It was very, very rough because people were pushing, hair was pulling, and everyone was just trying to do what they needed to do to be able to win.
I know these girls were psyched up for the entire day. I was psyched up for the entire day. You know, it's something that, when it's game day, it's something you think about for the entire time. When we were gathering in the parking lot, meeting ahead of time, everyone was really, really excited. People were putting face paint on and, getting psyched up and all that. And when we actually, ran out onto the field, there was just a big moment of, just adrenaline pumping through that stadium, which was fun. It's not something a lot of them get to experience.
In the end, the seniors trounced the juniors, shutting them out 44-0. But both teams' fight, ambition, and competitive spirit led to the success of this year's game and made homecoming week all that more fun. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Joel Pletcher. Now to Julia reporting on one specific girl in Hempfield football.
Hempfield, here we go! At Hempfield, Powder Puff is a girls' activity, but football is usually considered to be a boys-only sport. However, one girl at Hempfield is breaking the mold and is kicking for the Hempfield football team this season. Allie Rote is a junior at Hempfield who decided she wanted to play football this year.
At first it was a little intimidating because any team I've been on has been all girls for soccer. But after a few weeks when I started to get to know some of the guys, it's pretty much a big family and I felt so welcome.
So Allie came down after her soccer practice one day. She kicked some footballs around for our coaches and we liked what we saw and that was that. She was on board.
So a friend of mine actually mentioned it, and that's when I first decided it was just something completely new, and that's what makes it fun. This was an open door, so I took it and I emailed Coach Zebra about it, and then I started coming to practices.
I've not had a female player before, so this was a first.
Allie is not just playing football this fall. She is also reprising her role as a goalkeeper on the soccer team.
Allie approached me before the season started and told me she was interested in playing football as well. When she came to me with the idea, I told her I'd work with her and we'd try to make it happen that she could play both soccer and football in the same season.
It's from soccer. Usually I was busy during the fall with schoolwork, but now adding another sport on top of it, it's even more crazy.
Scheduling was the only difficulty, but it just took a little planning. So we sat down and we mapped out what she'd be able to make football-wise, what training sessions she might miss soccer-wise.
We worked out her getting to our practice after her things.
But they're very understanding and they know my situation, so it makes it a little bit easier.
It changed our attitude knowing that there's a girl who's out there who's dedicated to come out and not, oh, this is all boys, or I can't play this, or I can't do that.
Allie is one of the kindest girls I ever met because every time I'm in the hallway, she says hi to me on the sideline, she says hi to me, she pats me on the back like after every good play like everyone else.
Everyone is there for each other, you have each other's back,
Everybody's always excited when she's around because it's just that female figure. She's out here and she's willing to practice with us and not afraid to take a hit.
She got hit for the first time, but she just popped back up and went about her business.
Allie brings hard work more than probably most people on the team because she does 2 sports at one time and not many people can do that. Like, she works hard and that inspires other people too.
Let's go! Oh!
Our guys respect her for her work. Our guys have treated her, just like anybody else down there, and they're always willing to give her a quick cheer at the end of a practice for her soccer games when they're down there as well. So it's been good for, I think, everybody.
I think as a goalkeeper, her taking goal kicks has really helped in kind of the transition into kicking field goals.
The first time I went out, my legs just dropped because I was so scared. I didn't want to miss it. But each game it gets a little bit easier. I really love kicking. It's just a lot of fun, especially when you get it through. It's just been a great experience.
Come on, Allie.
Going out of your comfort zone can reward you with new experiences, as Allie Rote has certainly found by joining the football team. Through dedication and kindness, Allie has gained the acceptance of her new teammates and been rewarded with a place on an all-boys team. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Julia Campbell. Now back to Joel with more on the football team.
Hempfield football has 2 players that were away last year, but came back this year to influence their true home team. Number 19 Luis Abreu and number 1 Mikey Crespo went to Hempfield for much of their football career, but left going into 11th grade.
I went to JP McCaskey last year. The only reason I did is because my family moved and they needed a babysitter, so I couldn't stay with friends to continue being in this school.
I transferred to Penn Manor actually to excel academically. I wasn't doing too good over here academically. I kind of took school as a joke my first 2 years of high school. Didn't pay attention as much, and so I transferred in hopes of a better education over there.
Despite being separated from their team for a season, this year, both Lewis and Mikey returned to Hempfield with lots to offer.
Coming back to Hempfield as a whole, I brought a real intense and non-lackadaisical energy.
I think I bring back more of the chemistry, more of a sense of secureness, because our look when we first started wasn't as sharp as it was. So when I came, there was more sense of confidence.
Teammates and coaches also gave their take on what the boys bring back.
One thing that they add is definitely energy, because I've been playing with them for so long, and I start on the field too. So when we're all out there together, it's just like old times.
They came in pretty much right off the bat and took a leadership role, giving a lot of advice to some of the younger players, bring energy.
With passion, leadership, and energy, Lewis and Mikey embody the Hempfield spirit and find themselves ready for another eventful season with their true home team. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Joel Pletcher.
Now we will go over to Zach, where he will ask students what their stance is on school spirit.
Welcome, I'm Zach Lehman, and here with me today is the Hempfield Homecoming Court, consisting of Bree Byler, Paige Dimnick, Hannah Johnson, Morgan Mahout, Bella Marco, Britt Mumo, Emily Stamen, and the homecoming queen, Sarah Brearley. How are you guys today?
Good.
First, let's look at some of the posts on social media that Hempfield has posted using #HempfieldHoco. I'm going to be asking questions about homecoming and school spirit. Here we go. What does homecoming mean to you? Bree?
To me, it means being a person your class looks towards as just a person who represents your class, as a well-rounded person.
Yeah, I agree with that. Everybody just coming together for a weekend. I think every school has that time that everybody just comes together. So I agree with Hannah on that.
Bella?
Like they said, I sort of agree with that, but it's also a time to appreciate the people around you too, and gain some school spirit, maybe just something to kick off the start of the year.
Britt?
I think it's also celebrating the football team and going to the game and having a good time with your friends.
And also a lot of college kids and people come back for the game and stuff, so that's cool.
Sarah?
I think it's a celebration of who you are as a school and as an individual. And to be chosen for homecoming court is absolutely incredible because it means that your class thinks highly of you, even if you might not think highly of yourself.
Does Hempfield have school spirit? Bree?
I'd say to like a certain extent. And I think that the athletic part typically like overshines like the other parts. Like people tend to recognize like the athletic and like they get excited for that, but there's other things about Hempfield that like need to be recognized more, I think. So.
Yeah, I think that with Hempfield, since it's such a large school, we have such like diversity, like we said already, and that we're good at so many things, and I think taking the opportunity to appreciate that and going out and watching as many like athletic events as possible, as many concerts or theatrical productions, I think like just going to them, supporting your peers is school spirit, and I think we definitely have that. Yeah, I agree with that, because there are people, they're not only involved in like one thing, everyone's involved, it seems like in a bunch of different things. So I think just even with that, just supporting everyone, like what Paige said, in everything they do.
I think with sports, definitely everybody shows up and supports our teams, whether we're good or bad. So I think we do have school spirit, yeah.
I think for the most part we do have school spirit, but there definitely is a disconnect between groups that I think should be diminished, and I think it's getting better, and that just has to do with the great amount of talent that we have throughout the different programs like they were saying before. So I think it's good, but it could get better.
I think Hempfield has a good amount of school spirit, but you can never have too much, so keep coming out, Hempfield.
I think that we do, and I think you can definitely see it with situations that arise, like bad situations. We all really come together and show what it's like to be a Hempfield student and care for each other. So.
I think we do have a lot of school spirit, especially for the arts and for athletics. There's definitely becoming a bridge between those two programs because football players and rugby players are doing dance theater and everyone's getting involved in everything, but I think we have trouble showing it. Like when we are supposed to dress up during Spirit Week, a lot of people feel uncomfortable doing so.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being a part of Hempfield's panel about school spirit and homecoming. Now back to Kaylee with some closing remarks.
That's all for this month's edition of Hempfield Happenings. We hope you enjoyed learning about Hempfield's homecoming weekend and some other interesting homecoming stories. Make sure to check back next month for another episode of Hempfield Happenings.